Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us out here for WeCare Beyond Tokenism, a power panel discussion right here. Thank you so much for making time amidst your busy schedules because this is going to be very interesting and this is the need of the hour. I am Nitish Kamdar, your host for WeCare Beyond Tokenism power panel discussion. Tokenism, or just for sake, how it does more damage than manage, how it's more destruction than an act of salvation. Even though it's International Women's Day, but We Care is and will always be about gender equality, inclusion, and coming together of great experienced minds to create a safe and equitable industry. Well, this discussion is not just relevant, it is necessary. Our esteemed panel from various backgrounds will shed light on the challenges, solutions, and steps forward, ensuring that our industry becomes a truly equitable and safe space for all. Get ready for an engaging and thought-provoking conversation. Without any further ado, of course, the next person who I would like to introduce, and I would request everybody to just increase your volumes and keep interacting and keep sending us messages and lots of loves so that we know that all of you agree with us. And there are going to be many beautiful moments where you will relate to it. But today, to give present the welcome note and to present the welcome address, he could not be present live. Just 2 hours before, he got a little occupied, but he has made us a beautiful audio visual for us, and he has some very encouraging words for all of us. So, without any further ado, join me in welcoming the EEMA president, Mr. Samit Garg. Can we have his AV, please?
Good afternoon, everybody. Members and friends at EEMA, all the industry leaders and guests. Today is actually a very special day, and it is not because of the fact that we are only celebrating the Women's Day and Beyond Tokenism, as Sushma has very aptly given the title to this gathering and the event. But today is also important because we have to address a larger mission of inclusivity and equity. Women's Day, ladies and gentlemen, is no longer just about women's empowerment. It is also about creating an inclusive economy that eventually harnesses the potential of everyone, especially youth, women, and the underserved communities. And if India is to achieve its $30 trillion economic dream, it must do so by ensuring equitable opportunities for the approximately 1.7 billion people, and not only just for a privileged few. Beyond Tokenism is about women and underserved communities, and they cannot be just symbolic representations in workplaces. They must be key decision makers, contributors, and drivers of the industrial growth. I think it is extremely important to also discuss and address the workforce participation. We must aim for at least 70% participation of women in economic activities, and a workforce where youth and underserved groups are meaningfully employed through skilled labor and also sustainable opportunities. It is also important for us to be mindful of a safe and equitable workplace. While the POSH Act is a legal safeguard, true progress means creating a workplace that is safe for all and not just only for women. I think safety extends beyond harassment. It is about psychological safety, fair wages, growth opportunities, and possibly a culture of mutual respect as well. The events and the experiential industry has to lead by setting examples in fostering maybe a zero tolerance policy on discrimination, harassment, and gender biases. Safety is not just about policy, but it is also about a mindset. I think we must integrate that into the very basic fabric of our workplaces. Equality, at the same point in time, is not just about giving everyone the same resources. Equity is about understanding that different groups have different starting points and need customized support to truly level the playing field. Our industry must invest in mentorship, leadership, development, flexible work policies, and also the financial inclusion to create the real equity. Inclusion is not just a women's issue, it is an economic and business imperative. Men in leadership roles must be allies and active participants in ensuring safer workplaces, fair hiring practices, and also equal growth opportunities. I think every leader must today ask, are we really measuring success by diversity in hiring alone? Or are we measuring impact in leadership as well? Pay parity and decision-making power, are all of these things being addressed at the same time? As an industry body, EEMA has to take action and stand to create workplace safety framework beyond POSH. We have to make sure that we establish a commitment to equitable pay. We have to make sure that we ensure increased participation of women and youth, and possibly also recognize the organizations that are championing inclusivity. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish you all the best, and I hope all conversations today are meaningful and purposeful. And let's remember that true progress will only come when we no longer need special panels to discuss inclusivity, because equity will be the norm and not only an initiative. Thank you.
Thank you to our president, Mr. Samit Garg, for such encouraging words and setting the right ideologies for all of us. Yes, it is true. Every word which he said is very important. And today we are going to talk a little bit more, and we promise you that everything which we discuss today is relatable to all of you. Now, without any further ado, we would request everybody to please, can we have your attention towards the screen? Because just to set the context right, and for the perfect commencement of this, we would request all of you, please have your attention towards the screen as we showcase the EEMA film.
इतिहास का मैं आईना हूं, तहजीब का रंग सुनहरा हूं। गंगा जमुना मेरी आंखें, मैं नए भारत का चेहरा। मैं कल भी था, मैं आज भी हूं, मैं नवयुग का अंदाज भी हूं। सारी दुनिया का घर मुझ में, इस मिट्टी का आदर मुझ में, मैं देशभक्त भी गहरा हूं। मैं नए भारत का चेहरा, मैं नए भारत का चेहरा। मैं बेटी की मुस्कान में हूं, मैं नारी के सम्मान में हूं। मैं बेटी की मुस्कान में हूं, मैं नारी के सम्मान में हूं। विज्ञान में और किसान में हूं, हर वीर में और जवान में हूं। मैं सीमाओं का पहरा हूं, मैं नए भारत का चेहरा हूं। मैं नए भारत का चेहरा हूं, मैं नए भारत का चेहरा हूं। अब चांद पे पांव जमाना है, सूरज से आंख मिलाना है। एक नया सवेरा लाना है, संकल्प नया दोहराना है। न ठहरा था, न ठहरा हूं, न ठहरा था, न ठहरा हूं। मैं नए भारत का चेहरा हूं। मैं नए भारत का चेहरा हूं। मैं नए भारत का चेहरा हूं। मैं नए भारत का चेहरा।
Wow. Now that film definitely touched our hearts and our souls. With the same spirit, join me in welcoming one of the most iconic members from the EMA community. She's a beacon of educating the right mindset in fairness and, of course, integrity. A woman of substance. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the chair of WeCare. To present the chair note, join me in welcoming Shushma Prabhu Gaikwad. Hi, Sushma. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Nitish, and thank you for hosting this important panel for us. It is a very important and significant day, and I really thank you, and you're doing a splendid job. So thank you so much. Now, on that note, I want to really begin by saying a big thank you to the NEC. This panel would not have been possible without key members of the NEC really being extremely deeply involved in being instruments of change. So thank you very much, NEC, for not only driving this, but also going a little beyond tokenism and saying, this needs to happen on 8th of March. Now, I'm going to be really upfront and very honest. I can choose to be a motivation speaker and talk to you about the exciting times ahead, which I intend to do, but I'm going to take another path. The path that I'm going to take is a very simple human-to-human path. And it's just a conversation I want to have with each and every one of you who is watching this telecast, who has taken the time to watch this telecast. It's 33 years for me to have been in this industry. The time I joined this industry, I was actually one of the only very few women. In the organized event industry, I was possibly the only woman standing there and doing night setups. Yes, I learned decor, stage, sound, light, video, whatever needed to be learned. I was a production manager. I was an artist coordinator. I was a client servicing manager. I was everything rolled into one. And at no point of time did I view myself only as a woman. I viewed myself as a professional woman. Now, as our industry is stepping into a sunrise phase, I've been hearing it in the corridors of power. It's so amazing. It's amazing that we're part of this industry that is really contributing to the economy as a whole, contributing to the growth of culture as a whole, that is making waves in the world on a global scale. But really, where are we really? Are we on par? Are we driving change? Or are we really stuck in old processes, old mindsets, old cultures, where even today we are having conversations of gender? Every time I talk about WeCare, I get a conversation, Acha ye Nari Shakti hai. And I'm going to be very honest and very straight. So please forgive me if I'm going to be hitting a little below the belt. But you know what? The world, and we all of us, forget the world, we've all gone way beyond this conversation. It does not remain a conversation about male and female toilets anymore. It remains a conversation about us highlighting leaders of all genders, highlighting processes, employing those processes, adopting them so that we can be called a truly global industry. And that is what this conversation is all about. So I'm not going to sugarcoat the pill, everyone. And thank you, each and every one of you, for joining us. Thank you. I've been stereotyped as a girl who smiles, or the woman, I still call myself a girl who smiles. But today I'm a little more, I'm very, 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 very serious. Because this conversation is really beyond tokenism. Why do I say that? Because it's literally on the clock, right? Around 4th of March, I'll start getting calls. Sushma sent videos for Women's Day. That's tokenism. It's tokenism when we say that, we do so much for women. No, we're doing so much for the talent in our industry. That's tokenism. It's tokenism when we have unconscious bias when it regards to the third gender. It's tokenism when we stereotype. It's tokenism when there is unconscious bias, which is the underlayer of our culture in not only our industry, in each of our agencies. It's tokenism when we sexually objectify. And under the guise of, you know what, the client wants this. All that is tokenism, everyone. So let's have a very serious conversation and have an important conversation. So that being said, before we really step forward in this conversation, I really, first of all, while I've thanked the NEC, I want to really thank the panel and all our wonderful, wonderful guests who have made this an important panel to attend. And not one of us have said, "Arey yaar, aur ek baar ye वापस बात करना है," because हम बात करते रहेंगे. जितना बोलना है बोलते रहेंगे, because at some point of time it will shift, right? I've seen people. So guys, I want you to have your expectations right. It's not about men versus women. I want to really also say another part. Yeah, we've got two anchors who are males. We've got a host as in a host, that is Nitish, who is male. We've got a moderator who is male. So it's no longer a conversation about male versus female. Let's just go step like way beyond that. And our panel is completely prepped to do that. Okay. Another thing I really want to focus upon today is ask each and every one of you who are viewing, because our agenda today is specifically to take your input to create to actually, let's put this out there. I want to create some kind of a document that the NEC will put out there as a guideline of aspects that we need to adopt to make our industry safe, inclusive, equitable, and also based on equality. Yeah. So we're going to, at the end of this discussion, we're going to really come up with solutions. And all of those of you who are online watching, please contribute your thoughts, because our moderator, that is Hardik, will be certainly asking you for your input. So please just don't be merely viewers, please participate. And before I really delve into it, let me quickly pull up a slide, because you're only as good as your team. And besides the NEC, who is completely our team, I would like to introduce you to our WeCare committee. Our WeCare committee, please, if you could pull up the slide of the WeCare committee. If you could see, our advisory is Sanjoy. We have Sapna, who is a part of our WeCare council. We also have with us Aparajita, we have Chetan, we have Manika, and we have newly instituted our wonderful Amrita. So Amrita is going to be the voice of the artist community as well. Yeah, we're taking our steps to be truly inclusive, and we want your support. And now, not taking any more time or any more footage, let me hand it back into the capable hands of Nitish. Nitish, over to you, and let's get set.
Thank you, Shushma, for setting the tone right. And of course, we will always bring up these topics till the time we are sure that we have spread the awareness and things have started shifting in the right direction. Now, without any further ado, it's time to start with the WeCare Beyond Tokenism, the Power Panel discussion. So join me in welcoming my fellow male presenter who's there today on this. Thank you so much for doing this. He dons many, many hats. And from one presenter to the other, I'm sure you all are going to enjoy, because he's the moderator and he has many things which he's going to bring out today. So without any further ado, put your hands together and welcome Hardik Vaidya. Next, we would like to start by introducing all the panelists. First, we have Priyanka Agarwal, the co-founder and head of Inclusional. She is the former Big Four, former KPMG, and now runs inclusional, and organization working on how to integrate diversity into business. Next, we have Anjali Mohite, the zonal HR head for Coca Cola. She gives us the already pre decided formats, which are already operational in the corporate sector. Then we have our very favorite from the media background, from the radio industry. Yes, we've heard her many, many times. And these days, if you see her, she reminds us of the great leader Sarojini Naidu. Yes, I'm talking about RJ Malishka, Mumbai Ki Rani. She's also a part of the panel, and thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you,
Next, we have the chair of EEMA Artist Committee, a woman who inspires all the presenters out here. And while I talk about her, I'm getting goosebumps already. Thank you so much for doing this as from one presenter to the other. The lady who has introduced so many iconic people needs no introduction. But again, join me in welcoming Gitika Ganjudhar.
Thank
And
you.
last but not the least, ladies and gentlemen, trust me, you are going to enjoy the moment he takes. Any question when it comes to him, you all are going to thoroughly enjoy. This next gentleman is no ordinary designer. He is now recognized as one of the country's premier creative entrepreneurs with two companies, namely Puneet Jasuja Productions as events and interiors company and Second Floor Studio, a retail space in the capital city. More than the introduction, trust me, you want to get into his thoughts, and he's going to help us keep this unfiltered, raw, and real. So, Hardik, over to you, and let's commence with the panel discussion.
Thank you very much, Nitish. What a pleasure. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a privilege to be the gentleman moderating this high-powered panel discussion. I want to quickly take cognizance of the fact that Sushma alluded to some points in her address where she mentioned that she chooses to wear multiple hats. One of the artist manager, production leader, founder, educator, now a leadership coach. All these are choices that this incredible human chooses to make, and all the women here, and Puneet, all of us are choosing to do things that hopefully shape the due course of time through this conversation. I want to quickly touch base on the word tokenism. A simple meaning of this word is the practice of doing something only to prevent criticism and give the appearance that people are being treated fairly at workplace. We want to move past that. And on one hand, India's events and the experiential industry is witnessing unprecedented growth. And yet, on the other hand, the irony is that we're struggling to provide basics in terms of safety to our event industry personnel. Viksit Bharat seems like a far-fetched dream for all of us, but trust me, ladies and gentlemen, it affects all of us because if the economic growth is tied to us and we are the torchbearers of the work that we do, then all of our work matters in ensuring that the $30 trillion economy, 100 years of independence, 2047, is actually achieved by then. With that being said, we set a bit of a context, but EEMA's Women's Day 2025 theme is creating a sector for all by example and having zero tolerance. And we've got an eclectic panel having multiple voices from various industries, media, entertainment, corporate sector. And what a privilege it is to now be delving into this conversation. We've got some biases, some perspectives that are deep rooted in our culture, something that we're not very proud of, but that plagues our industry. And with this being said, I want to quickly take first Gitika's perspective because she's been in the industry for about 2.5 decades. That as an artist and now as a chairperson for the artist committee. You don again multiple hats, Gitika. What are 2 or 3 issues, systemic challenges that you see in our events industry?
Thank you, Hardik, and thanks for coming to me first. How much time do I have to give you this answer or my thoughts? Do I have about a minute and a half?
Yes, please. Yes.
Okay. So, 30 years ago, I remember the world agreed to the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action. This was a blueprint for, I think, women and girls worldwide that transformed the women's rights agendas across several dimensions. And despite these very worthy objectives, the World Economic Forum recently estimated that with the current rate of improvement, full gender parity will be reached in 134 years in the year 2158, which means that our great-great-great-granddaughters will experience gender equality by 2158, which means that a girl born today, Hardik, will have to wait till her 97th birthday, which is beyond the expected lifespan in every country, to experience a truly equal society. I'm going to quickly and in very raw words share with you what's the on-ground experience in the events industry for artists, both female and male. And I do speak as the chair of the EEMA Artists Committee, as someone who's responsible for the growth, the welfare, inclusivity, safety, and security of EEMA's artist members, who are, as of today, by the way, more women than men. And I'm saying this to you along with the chair of the WeCare committee, that we're here for you. This is not tokenism. We will address and eliminate any challenge to your safety, security, honor, and your peace of mind. I'm going to give you a few incidents here, and I hope everyone's listening, all of you watching. And each one of these is the truth. A leading award-winning national female MC gets asked over dinner how she has the trust and faith of so many powerful men in the industry, and was a compromise made, and if so, can he partake this compromise too? And this MC, quite the tigress, says to him that none of them asked for a compromise. It is possible for a female artist to be respected and empowered without sleeping with powerful men. And after today, you will believe this too. Incident number 2, how a female MC came to me and confided about a leading event manager and how she got into a relationship, how promises that were false were made, and how at the end of it she realized it was not a soul connection or love. She had been misrepresented too, and now that boredom had set in, it was time to go. And more importantly, she was told how any talk from her side result in her not getting work from the entire region, as he was friends with all the important boys. Then there's another incident which I want to bring to your notice. A leading female corporate MC post an event had the event manager come to her room to give her the check, forced himself inside, and was very, very inappropriate with her. And lastly, there was a conference, Hardik and everybody on this panel, that I attended last year, of the RJ and Anchors Association of India. And I'd asked for an hour's session. I remember it extended to 3 hours. I asked for them to leave their phones out, and it was a gathering about 100 people, Hardik. And for 3 hours, I had girls and I had boys stand up in their places and tell horror stories of harassment, of abuse, both mental and physical, and stories like how someone was propositioned in Delhi by someone who is sort of a poetry head there. And she refused, and she was told, now you wait, this is not the way you will survive in this industry. And she told me, this girl, that she got cancelled off 17 events over the next 3 days. There was incident after incident after incident that was narrated to me. I was on main stage, they were all in the audience, and the whole room was heavy with grief, and it was heavy with trauma. And they weren't narrating these incidents to me, they were screaming these incidents out to me. And at the end of it all, a leading male MC from the region got up to stage and said to me, Geetika ma'am, you're saying that ye sab badlega, agar aapko ye sab badalna hoga to aapko shayad puri industry ko band kar dena hoga. I'm sorry, I'm the bearer of very bad news here today, but I'm guided by my divine. The event industry is more than just gold and platinum members of EEMA. There is a very large industry out there, and the ground reality, it's not good. Our industry probably is one of the most toxic and traumatic environments for both men and women who are working on ground. And on behalf of not just the Artist Committee, but more on behalf of the chair of WeCare and the entire WeCare team, I'm telling everyone out there, wake up, and let's go beyond tokenism. Thanks, Arvind.
Thank you, Geetika, for highlighting these incredibly important points. I think the reason to have this conversation is exactly this, so that we bring forth in front of everyone, the friends who are attending this panel discussion, and people are watching it live on YouTube as well, to understand and get sensitized with the issues that are plaguing all of us, and not only male, female for that matter. Everyone getting involved in this conversation is an important stakeholder. So thank you. The solution of a problem starts with first being aware about it, then accept about it, and then actually act about it. Here, through this quick introductory note, we're trying to bring forth the awareness of the problems that we have. And I would like to quickly jump into this point and get Puneet's perspective. Puneet, what is your take? You deal with marginalized communities as well. You, in your right, have done incredible work. What has been your take in terms of understanding deep-rooted systemic biases, 2 or 3, quickly, given the paucity of time? Thank you.
So I'm the artistic director and creative director of Second Floor Studio. So we do events, we do social events, and we do corporate events. And one of the initiatives I started in Delhi was the LGBT Professionals Networking Group. And in the past year, we have created a booth at EEMA at ICWF, where we created a LGBT group for people who work in the events industry. And my experience was very kind of depressing, because we created this booth and we had people come speak to us. But unfortunately, although I know there are many LGBT people who work in our industry, not a lot of people were comfortable coming to the booth. And the people who were comfortable coming to the booth, which I was very proud to see, was business owners who came to me and said, how do we hire more people who are LGBT? We understand the value of them in our space. I mean, of course, we're the most fabulous and have the best taste, and we throw the best parties. So clearly we need to be in this industry. But the fact of the matter is that I was surprised, because I thought that by creating this awareness at these conferences that I would meet other LGBT people, but I realized that a lot of people are uncomfortable coming out in the industry because they're not out at home, or they do not feel safe in our industry to come out because they feel they might be harassed, or they might be teased, or they might be not looked at the way that they want to be looked at. So I was actually left quite confused after that, because I was like, here, I'm trying to start this organization so we can help other LGBT people help other people, and then obviously any other sort of minorities. But if they're not willing to come out because they don't feel comfortable in our space, then we have a different problem. And I think that also applies to a lot of women who have been harassed, because I've experienced that, where they've been on site and they've been harassed, and we've talked to the planner, or we just don't have any power. So we weren't able to do anything. I mean, we did as much as we could in that situation. And I had to make sure that the girl was fine, but she didn't want to press charges. But oftentimes they're so scared to press charges because they're worried about the further impact onto their lives. And yes, we talk about inclusiveness, we talk about women, we talk about gays, we talk about this, but then there's so many other people in our industry who don't even have, I mean, we don't talk about the laborers who don't have a safe place to work, or a safe place to sleep, or a safe place to eat, or whatever. So I guess you see, oh, well, we're treating those people like shit. Well, we can treat other people like shit, or those people are getting treated like shit. I'm getting treated better than they do. So do I have a voice in this? I think that everyone kind of feels powerless.
Thank you so much, Puneet, I think, for being so candid here. It makes me think of one of the points that Mr. Samit Garg had mentioned about when the fundamental harmony kit was being launched. And he said that in our industry, लोगों को इज्जत उनके ओहदे के हिसाब से मिलती है. And that point really stuck with me for a very long time. And thank you, Puneet, for alluding to that point as well. I'd like to quickly bring in Mumbai ki Rani, the incredible, the powerhouse, Malishka. Malishka, you wear multiple hats. You certainly are the voice of Mumbai. You touch upon events, entertainment, media, and you are observing a lot of action, being the performer that you are, and the celebrity, and the important radio voice that you are. Systemic challenges and important observations that you see.
So first of all, thank you for having me here. Thank you, Sushma. Thanks, Geetika, for those wonderful things you said, because you kind of covered a couple of my points that I was going to say. I have been in the industry for quite a few years. And like you say, yes, I've worn many hats. I think I started with radio, and then I moved into events where I've been on stage. I enjoy it tremendously. A live audience, whether they can see me, which is on stage, or if they cannot see me, which is on radio, as long as I get to talk and put my point of view across, or like bring people together, do something fantastic, bring change. That is my goal. Um, and since you described the word tokenism, I just want half a second to say that, and because we've had this conversation before, Women's Day in itself being celebrated was considered tokenism. It is considered tokenism. And I've been celebrating it for years, whether it's on the air or wherever else. But I realized when I signed in to do this today, that when you start something and you put intent into it, to me, the opposite of tokenism is intent and then doing something about it, right? So when you put intent into it, it changes from tokenism. So I'm very glad that you're doing this. I have an example of this because I still get pulled up for this. I think all of you know the song that I did in 2017. The next one's coming out soon, guys. But that was about the potholes, right? Um, and a lot of people wrote back to me and said, "Oh, tokenism, क्या ही कर लोगी? क्या होगा इससे? कुछ change हुआ है क्या? खड्डे तो अभी भी है." And I was like, हाँ है और होंगे भी. But बदलाव जो आया है वो mentality में है, एक shift in the way of thinking, accountability में है. And to me, that is very important. Whether they sit back and whether they say, "Oh, hey, we're not going to fill all the potholes. Who's going to do anything?" But the fact that you raised your voice and that you said something means everything. And so this is very important today when at the end of the session, when we come up with things that can actually change. And it will be a mild beginning, but it will be a beginning and it will take us places. And so I'm very glad that we're doing this. Um, I have changed, of course, in stature as well, if I may say so, from the time I started. So, as a fledgling, as a newbie, what I saw and what I see today are two different things. But that doesn't mean that the observations have changed. I want to give you two examples because I said I think we need accountability and respect. These are two things where I find that our industry, any industry actually, very often, you find that you have to fight for this. When I say respect, I'll give you an example of something that happened when I was hosting an event with Mr. Bachchan and a very prominent actress, gorgeous. She's still at the top of her game. And I was hosting this Maze Kar Karke, and there was 40 people in the room who get to meet them and get to take pictures with them, right? So after a point, the actress comes up to me, slides up to me, and she's really tall, and she's saying, "Malishka, do some risk." So what happened? She's like, all the gentlemen are coming on, they're just putting their hands around my waist to take pictures. Now, this, at the face of it, I don't know how it sounds to the gentlemen. I don't know how it sounds to the ladies as well. I'm sure all of us have gone through it because in my head at that point, it's like, "Girl, this is you with a fair breast and more." And they're doing this to all of us anyway. The next thing I said to her is, "Let me bring it up." And she was like, "No, no, 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 don't bring it up. Don't say it loudly." So I realized, I mean, that stayed with me because it's been so many years since that happened that we want things, we're even unable to voice it. And if someone of her stature is unable to voice it, this comes to my mind always, that someone who is lesser within the socio-economic system, how is she going to bring stuff up? Who is she going to tell it to? And that's where I come to accountability. Though, of course, over the years, I have gone through various versions of this when I've been on stage or off it. For the most part, because, like you introduced me, Hardik, or you said, Nitish, it comes with, "Oh, hey, this is that person. Let's not mess with her," happens. But once a few drinks are down, everyone's a changed man or woman. So it's happened with everyone. And what happens next? Who do we go to? Is that an emotional burden that I carry by myself? ठीक है, चल औरत है. It's part of this industry. Can I go and tell the account manager? Can I go and tell the person who hired me for this job? And that's where I come to accountability. Who will take accountability? This was a very physical safety part of it that I talk about that nobody looks at. The anchor will take care of herself. She'll manage. ये अपना काम नहीं है. And similarly, I want to raise the aspect of accountability. This might sound, again, so suppose there's a co-host situation on stage, right? This is again from personal experience, from experiences of other women, perhaps men as well. Again, I'm just going to put it out there. A co-host situation is always a situation where you're keeping the client's, of course, best interests at heart, but there's always a space where someone is trying to, it shouldn't be like that, but someone's trying to outshine the other, or someone is trying to belittle the other to be seen in a certain way. Do you all see this, or is this just my experience? Thank you. And there is no emotional accountability for that. There is nobody who's saying, they'll figure it out. they'll figure it out between them. And it's not true, because I really feel at some level, when briefings are done, you will notice this, if there's a man and a woman, for example, briefings are done keeping the gentleman in mind, but execution is generally handed over because she'll do it. This has happened to me also. I was in another country and with another very famous anchor. I love that Gitika is showing us thumbs up. So I'm saying that I was with a very famous anchor, and the famous, he just knew that it's not his fault even. He just knew he was taken care of. He was like, tat, 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 tat. But every time we had to do something, they would come to me and say, "You've got to get this done. Please get this done. Why is this not getting done? Why is he doing this?" And I was like, I don't know about payments. Maybe you guys can, shed some light on that when it comes to, how men and women are. Yes, Nitish, I'm asking you, what is it? How is parity odd or what? So many hearts. Yes, thank you. And I've never known what to do about it, because then it has become an ego issue and nobody takes care of it. It's like they'll figure it out. And I found that it's systemic, and I wish that somebody would come up and say, hey, that's not cool. He cannot behave with you like this, or she cannot behave with you like this, whichever way that is. I'm just giving you an example of the accountability I want. These are two things I just wanted to bring up. If I think about it, I'll find about 30 more, but yes. So I want more accountability and more respect in this industry, as in, like, yes.
100%. I think it's so important that you mentioned the word accountability. I want to jump in quickly and get Sushma's take here, a quick viewpoint that she has to share as well.
Thank you, Hardik. Thank you, Yatika, Malishka, Puneet. Excellent points. I've said most of what I wanted to say in my opening. Yet there's one thing I really want to focus on when we really talk about problems. I don't know if many of you know, those who are watching, but we have a helpline, and we do get calls, and we do get complaints, and we have an addressal system, and we have an ombudsman system to handle these complaints. Today, as 80% of the complaints we get are of mental harassment, workplace harassment. I don't know why I'm saying harassment. I've suddenly become American. A workplace harassment. So I think that is something we really need to put here. Client pressures are immense. Client work timings are last minute. And the entire team is held ransom to the whims and fancies of the client. I'm sorry, Anjali, I know you're from a corporate, and of course you're HR, yet I must say it is very important to note that, because we are all held ransom. There is also not enough respect given to our colleagues and our employees. I think that is something also we need to really bring into this ring as we are having this discussion about mental and workplace harassment, over a period of time. So that's something I want to throw out there, Hardik, in literally 30 seconds.
Thank you very much. I think mentioning about the helpline number has been a very, very important point. And we'll share that once again after the discussion is done, for the benefit of all the attendees coming in. One quick note, friends, if you are observing this panel discussion, and if there are questions, thoughts, inputs, anything, please put them in the question section so that we can understand and maybe take them in as we move along as well. The people who've mentioned and who've spoken and viewed their perspectives right now have been from the media, entertainment, event space. Let's quickly change gears and talk to someone who comes from a completely different background, the corporate sector. Anjali, you belong to the world of FMCG and obviously has the bit of entertainment attached to Coca-Cola as well. But with that being said, do you find challenges being similar with the events industry, or is it entirely different?
I think the problems, the challenges, more or less, they are very similar, then they would be different. Of course, we are in a much organized sector. When we talk about corporate, there are paid maternity leaves and childcare leave, all those supports, which might not be there in other industries. But apart from that, I come from FMCG, and prior to that, oil and gas. Both the places, I would say, they are very male dominated. Inclusion remains an issue, and I've seen the corporate struggling with it throughout my career. Male dominated industries come with their own challenges. A lot of them psychological in nature, more often than not. So, I like to bring one point that Sushma pointed out, that as in HR, what you want to do with this is that, you want to bring that awareness, you want to bring that thing out in the open, that there is someone who is there to listen to you. So if I talk about the companies that I've worked with, I've always had very easy resources available to me. Um, I have had counselors at the tip of my phone available to me, and that is how I have known it all along. I can't think it any other way. So when faced with anything, I think the employees in my sector often had a thing to go to there, where they could talk, where they could not always the solution, but it is always good to have a listening ear, which is impartial. So counseling services helped a lot. Also, I think what helps and would help across, I think, is allyship, both male and female. That is something that I have seen working in my organizations, that often when you have a mentor that you can go to, women find it easy working in those spaces. Women find it easy to advance in the careers that they are in, because then they have someone they can go with issues and problems and raise things in confidence too. So that is something that I think other industries should also replicate in whatever way they can. Apart from that, I think workplace harassment is something Sushma talked about. So in corporates, I would say that, POSH, the implementation of POSH is very very rigid. It's also very crucial as an HR for us to do it, that all the employees know what the act is, they know who they want to who they can reach out to, what are the things that they can reach out for, and what are the avenues available for them, and which has really changed the game. And I have seen it, because Posh came when I was already working, and I have seen what a game changer it has been for right now. It is not gender neutral. I hope it does happen gender neutral in the future, but right now for women, if I have to speak, it is such a good avenue to have in access to. So I think those are the few cents that I would like to put on the table from the corporate perspective.
Perfect. Thank you very much. While we have definitely tabled some of the pressing issues and biases and systemic problems as well, we'll now jump in and get Puneet's take on what are the possible solutions, Puneet, do you see marching forward?
As a business owner, I have to say that I'm equally as to blame for not putting, the best circumstances, I think, because of the situations that we have to deal with. But I always tell my employees, because we talk about how do we hire more women, or how do we hire, different people from different walks, is to really look at what's going on in your home, and to call out the bigotry that might be in your home and in your friendships and with your uncles and your aunts. And where we can make a pledge, and we can say that we can go do a lot of Zooms. I think that we have to call our own bullshit out, our own bigotry towards different things, if it might be caste or Muslims or whatever it may be that we're hearing in our homes. And I think that then we could start that way by creating that initial change, is kind of putting yourself in check. It's about just stopping and thinking about being like, oh my God, I let that person slide by saying what they said the other day at the party, but pulling them aside and being like, listen, what you said didn't really make me feel comfortable. Do you realize what kind of impression that makes? Do you realize what kind of message you're putting out there? So I think that it's really important to address what's going on in what your own bigotries are, because we all have our own bigotries, and to put ourselves in check. And then possibly look within your own home and your own domestic surroundings, and then further go into your office. It's very easy to preach. It's very easy to preach. I'm gay, I'm a minority, I can preach and tell you how difficult how everyone should be fair. And I know that I'm not fair at sometimes, because of the circumstances that I'm in, because of whatever the challenges that we suffer from. But that's no excuse.
Do you think that's an intervention point? Because I really sense that you're talking about yourself taking accountability first, and then marching forward with possibly recommending other people's solutions. I think that's a fantastic intervention point, where we ourselves as business owners take charge of the fact that maybe if something has happened wrong with us, maybe we don't need to repeat that with others as well. So thank you very much.
And I've sat down with my staff and I said, oh yeah, my parents used to talk about Muslims this way, or they're like, you can date anybody, but you can't marry a Black Muslim or something like that. And I'd be like, oh, no, we can't let that slide by as a joke. Like, we have to address that and say, yeah, that's not appropriate, mom and dad. Like, how could you say that? And do you realize that this affects this person and that person? And if you can call yourself on your own bullshit, then you can lead by example, and then other people will call themselves on their bullshit.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Puneet. You've got two very important points that have been relayed to me right now. One is that please do share the helpline number. And the individual who shared this did not even know that such a number exists in the first place. And they say that it's even worse in tier 2 and tier 3 cities. So please, as us leaders and the torchbearers of this conversation, it is imperative after this, we actually put this out. And quickly, Priyanka, I'll get you in. And there's another point. This person mentions that they sincerely believe system which is deterrent needs to be in place so that the person thinks 100 times before venturing out. So thank you for whoever has actually shared that point. We will definitely take that into the conversation. With that being said, Priyanka, you are the co-founder of a diversity and inclusion consulting firm called Inclusional. Could you shed some light on these challenges that we're trying to grapple with and also possible solution as well?
Sure. Am I audible? Thank you so much to the panelists because you were fabulous. I have a little secret. I did a little stint in the media and entertainment industry. I've done voiceovers. I actually was the voice of Ellie in Hindi Ice Age. But I think the culture and, chasing for payments and some of the behaviors put me off so badly that I went back to corporate. But, I'm trying to summarize what I have heard. And I'll tell you that things are not very different in other sectors because I come with about 27 years of work ex. And as a consultant, I have worked across industries. But I can tell you one thing today, and maybe I'm going to sound the harshest of all, is agar ab nahi sudhre, so you are going to hit the path of destruction. Because I don't think anybody imagined India to become an economic power. Unfortunately, the way we're growing economically and the way we are so behind in culture, respect means you can't say no. If you have a turkey tauji, you must continue to tell generations, unse dur raho, but not tell the tauji anything. Those things are no longer going to fly in corporate anymore. You are a professional. You come to work to work. Very, very clear. This is the communication we give everyone. These are people. People are hired for talent, their gender, their sex, their economic standing, who they talk to, who they sleep with. This does not matter. And we are entering a digital age where there is no gagging of media. Thank you, Malishka, for the work that you do. Because finally, we've reached a point where everything that you put out on social media impacts your personal brand. So beyond, all of us know how to behave with people. We were taught moral science at some stage in school. So we know. So harassment is about power. I will not go and harass someone more powerful than me, but I will always harass somebody who I can get away with. So for all the rubbish that we have in India, the jugaad culture, all of that, I think accountability begins with people in power. This mother-in-law concept, na ki maine saha hai, so I must make sure that you also have to go through the same trauma. This is going to be bad for your personal careers. So when we talk about workplace safety, please don't think about safety, what you can do to make other people safe. Please think about how you're being watched 24/7. We're looking at social media being monitored by the income tax authorities. The day is not far away where people are going to hire you, not for your talent, but for your people skills and for your social media presence. So therefore, when we talk about safety today, let's change that mindset to say, this is a skill I need to have to succeed in my personal career. Because finally, if you're going to be a bad person, you will not be able to hire people. You will not be able to retain people. You will build a bad reputation. And without people, you can't build a successful business. So we'll come to what you can do to be safe. But I think the first thing, going back to what Puneet said, is personal accountability. You can't do unconscious bias training. It's a work in progress. Every day that you are saying something bad, simple jokes, like you talk to a Sardar, no Sardar will tell you they like Sardar jokes. So step one is stop making jokes. Not everybody is blessed with good humor. So start checking your own behaviors, actions, the way you talk, the way the way you land on people. I think that summarizes it all, is personal accountability. And I will take you through the law because the law, there is a law in India for everything. We have a constitution. So the fact that we are sitting here and still talking about some of these things, where hand around the waist and you can't say no, where you're propositioned, and it happens across sectors. It's happening to men, it's happening to women, it's happening across the board. So maybe that's inclusive. First it was only women. Now I think everybody is getting harassed. But I'm saying the time is now to say that we have to change, because otherwise the economic growth, the $300 trillion economy, is not going to happen. India brand is destroyed after RG Kaur, after the HEMA committee report. Internationally, we look really bad. And these days, globally, I mean, for whatever is happening, people are still giving out business basis diversity ratios and some of those things. So my one message is change for your sake, for your personal brand. Thanks. Thank you so much, Ardit, for this time.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Priyanka. I think you are actually neck deep in training employees on posh policies, and this is extremely, extremely important that you put forth that viewpoint as well. While we are discussing, ladies and gentlemen, all of the viewpoints that we are trying to collectively come to, our viewers, I request all of you to please tune in and share your suggestions as well, because this document is a collective effort. While we are just the 6 people on the screen, and we acknowledge that Puneet had to leave because he had to attend a funeral. He lost a family member. He had to make a quick exit. So we thank him very much for his presence and his inputs. With that being said, I want to quickly have Gitika back in. She had something important to say and wanted to share. Gitika, over to you.
Hi, so I'm not going to take too much time. I'm in the same strain that Malishka was talking about. And to people who are listening, this may seem like something not very serious, but for women who are involved, it's very painful. And for someone like me at this stage of my career, with the reputation that she comes with, if I was like harassed by this very, very famous television MC who was on this wedding event with me, and how out of those 10 entries, he and his manager made sure that I got only 2 or 3. And by the end of it, he actually walked up to me and he just scraped his hand like that to my arm. And he said, "Oh, cool, just take it easy, don't have to be so serious about." So, and well, what it done, the incident is, the narration is not important. What did I do after that? I sat down in my room when I got back. I wrote a mail. I wrote a mail to the event agency and to the head of production. I narrated the incident in detail with the name of the manager. They escalated it to the artist's manager. He is in full knowledge of what he did. I, next day, after checking in at the airport, picked up the phone on 10 biggest wedding managers in the country. Wow. I told them about how I was treated by this person after 25 years of experience. And the story went far and wide. What I'm trying to say here is that I don't give a damn if he, I'm sure in many shows they would ask him that aapko kaun si female MC apne saath chahiye. And I'm sure he'd say कि गीतिका को तो बिल्कुल भी मत लाना और गीतिका को तो आना भी नहीं है, ऐसे लोगों के साथ काम करने के लिए. And what I'm trying to say here is that change begins on 2 levels. One, by the people in power, in office, the systems, the processes, but it also begins with each one of us. And we have to speak up. That's all I wanted to say, Hardik.
Thank you. Thank you once again for putting that point out. I think these are such incredible stories. And thank you, Sushma, for bringing up all this together. Because only this was possible when you could reach out to us, tell us that maybe these are the issues that our industry is facing on a day-to-day basis. And someone like Gitika sharing out, Malishka, and all the phenomenal leaders like yourselves are sharing. I think it's time that we do something about it. While I'm saying problems, let's quickly jump into the aspect of finding 2 or 3 doables, actionable points that EEMA can actually apply to all the agencies, pan-India, as actionable points for their employees at their workplaces. So maybe we can start off with Malishka. Mumbai ki Rani, let's go.
Actually, I was just going to speak after Gitika did, and I said I might as well do it. Can you hear? Yes. There was a time when you could get into a plane and you could tell the air hostess to do what you wanted. You could keep ringing that bell and she would turn up and she'd be like, yes, sir, 3 bags full. Or you'd be like, oh, I can't put my bag up, or I'm drunk, or whatever. That changed at some point. And I've been wanting to talk about this. It came to me. That changed at some point. Because, whenever we say customer is king and client is king, and of course they are, because, we are a capitalist society. पैसे तो आने हैं. But the point is, what is wrong is what is wrong is what is wrong. And if we collectively don't grow a spine, now I'm all about it. Like एक intent बना लो और spine रखो. Spine का क्या अर्थ है कि क्लाइंट ऐसा ही है यार, क्लाइंट निकाल, पर क्लाइंट को सिखाएगा कौन? जो पावर में है. इफ यू डोंट टॉक टू देम, इफ यू नेवर स्पीकिंग ट्रूथ टू पावर, फिगर आउट अ वे. इफ इट नीड्स टू बी चुपड़ी, then you do that. But if it needs to be more than that, do that. But who's going to tell the client that you're behaving like a complete words that cannot be said on this forum? Who's going to tell the client? So I think one of the things that was mentioned is, somebody said you need a mentor. Like, if I was doing a show with Sushma, for example, and if I could come to her with a concern saying, hey, this is a problem. And if Sushma comes and says to me, Malishka, this client is bad, you know how clients are bad. But that is always the case. And who does it come on? Appan ko jhelna padta hai. Emotional baggage ho gaya, decision making fatigue ho gaya, jo bhi hai, appan ko jhelna padta hai. And then you go away with such a bitter taste in your mouth while the client believes that the client is still God. And this is what happened to me recently. After so many years, I have never felt so much anxiety before doing a show because the client was dancing on our heads, collective heads of several people, including mine. And there was no boundary. There is no, you cannot do this. You cannot tell me at 10 in the night, oh, hey, we want to change the script. Oh, that is harassment. And beyond that, because you paid the money, you think nobody can do anything. So when I went to the event coordinator, she was harassed. And she was like, I mean, this is what we do with narcissists. This is what we do with like an overbearing husband or a wife, or, to keep it kosher. We're constantly doing this. I would like us to collectively find a place where you know that you can say, no, hey, this boundary has been crossed. You cannot push this boundary. You cannot talk to my person like this. This is not what was decided. No, I won't give you an extra phone call with with the talent because you wanted, but it was not accounted for. The way you speak is not acceptable. This happened to me recently. I'm this old in my career. I can close my eyes and do a show. A subtle plug. If you don't give me a you don't give me a script, I can do a show. Subtle plug. I can do. That's who we are. But and I can go in the morning and talk about you and your brand on the radio. I won't do it. Don't worry. Just saying. But I can. And yet you've done this because we have no boundary system. We have nothing between us that will say, oh, hey, this is not okay. And if a Malishka can go through this or a Gitika can go through this because she's clapping and all, then what are we going to do about the younger generation that enters and exits immediately or says, hey, I am powerless? So I think that structure should start there with saying कि client हाँ जो बोलता है सच है मगर एक हद तक और कोई उस protection barrier को होना चाहिए कि नहीं कुछ भी बोलोगे तो सही है तो बिछ ही जाओ ना carpet बन जाओ इंसान क्यों हो. That's my point.
Thank you, Malishka. I think
बजाते
boundaries.
रहो. Sorry. Subtle plug.
No, plug was super.
Thank you, guys. Looking forward to work from you all.
But with that being said, Gitika, I want to quickly get your take. 2 or 3 doables, actionables that we can work on as a community so that strengthening the safety at workplace actually becomes a realistic actionable plan.
So, when it comes to safety and security, which is my primary concern with regards artists, both men, women, and I'm just, it's really strange what I'm going to say. It's not politically very right to say, but I'm waiting for someone brave to step up and come to me and say that I was harassed. And I'm willing to write in a complaint and I'm willing to have you address it. Until they speak up, it's not going to change. So they have to begin to speak up, because now given the WeCare office bearers, given us at the artist committee, given our president, everybody, let me assure everybody out there that if you speak, you will be heard and justice will be delivered. So you have to speak. One is that. Secondly, I feel a lot of this is also it's also a personal process. So एक तो है कि predators हैं, power systems हैं, all of this is there, but it's also about you yourself realizing that within you, whether you're a man or woman, is a Shakti, and the power to say no eventually rests with you. So that is another realization on a very psychological level that I hope over the next 1.5, 2 years we can bring into our artists. And three, just educating, informing, making them aware of their rights, what POSH is all about, what office systems are all about, what as an artist they can expect to say yes to, expect to say no to. So even that is going to be a very important part of the journey we take with the artists across the fraternity. So three little things. And lastly, I had a very interesting line that came to my mind a few minutes ago, and I kind of penned it down. I'll quickly read it. That if you ask me what I would pledge to do, and what I would want each and every artist out there in the fraternity to pledge to do, is that I pledge to not turn a blind eye to an incident of harassment and stand up to support my colleague, stand up to address the non-compliance of safety and security, with the thought that I support you, you support me, and that's how we care. That's what I wanted to say.
Brilliant, brilliant. That's how we care. I think we've got a very interesting point where someone said that they wish that if all the event managers across the country were made accountable and helped in creating awareness, Beyond Tokenism would actually be one of the important takeaways from this event. So I think it's something to work on and think upon and ponder upon as well. Anjali, quickly, we've obviously spoken about the events, media, entertainment space. From the corporate sector, again, we are running very, very short on time, so we'll keep it crisp. What is the escalation of problems within Coca-Cola? And if we are trying to apply that escalation problem method here, or maybe finding solutions as well, how we can address that in the industry?
I think escalation metrics, all you need to do is follow POSH. POSH is a very, very powerful act. It actually gives you something called as an ICC, which is an internal complaints committee. Once you form that, a lot of rights come automatically along with that act. So you don't need to otherwise have any other escalation matrix or as such. All you need to concentrate on having an internal complaints committee and popularizing the POSH acts and its how the people can actually use it. So that is the only thing I think that is required. Nothing else or other than that.
Thank you, Anjali. Thank you. Priyanka, I will want to turn to you at this juncture because I think since Anjali alluded to the word POSH, you are someone who's dealing with POSH very, very deeply. Within the events business, it's often spoken about that POSH has become maybe just a meme or a token word that we speak about. Is there something that can actually be done in order to ensure that these rubrics, these metrics are in place so that all of us feel safe?
Thank you so much. I think, can I take about 5-7 minutes, because I'll give you tangible call to action on some of these things, which is an easy fix in my mind. And I think the first important thing is this law is really misunderstood. The minute you put prevention of sexual harassment against women, it got relegated to HR, legal, and the people in power at the workforce, which are your men folk, instantly went, oh, ye to ek aur, nani morcha hai. And that is where the law, which has been placed for 11 years, employers, people who own businesses, have not understood that they were actually given immense power. But with power comes responsibility. I'm going to be a little Spider-Man-ish. So to reinforce that if you have power, there's also responsibility, right? So I think we've covered the fact that there's need for personal accountability, there's need for people to speak up. And there are two ways change happens, Hardik, right? Either you're pushed to change, the push factor in India is the law, or you're pulled to change, which is what this group has been doing for the last better part of 45 minutes to say that, how do I pull people? So the fact that Sudhar Jao, people are going to speak up. I also want to put it out there that the cases that have happened in media are the new generation interns who come into work and they have nothing to lose. And they have put down people with power. So maybe there's something to learn instead of talking about millennials and Gen Z as being battamiz, work ethic nahi hai, jo hum nahi kar paye. I mean, I wish I could have slapped around a few of my bosses because I've worked with some terrible clients in my 27 years. And because they were clients, I understand the pain of the sector. Consulting world is hunt and eat like yours is. But the point is that the times are changing. I'm going to focus my attention only on what can you tangibly do to make your sector safe. Is first of all, understand the POSH Act. Before bad mouthing it, before, jaldi HR ko delegate karo, are 31st December aa raha hai, understand the law of the land. See, you have to understand that the act applies to organized and unorganized sector. It came because a woman was gang raped while at work. Now, when I get molested on the road, I can come back home and forget about the trauma to some extent. But if this happens to me at work, it's a double whammy because I have to go back and earn my livelihood. Therefore, the law was put in place to say, jaldi justice honi chahiye. Right? Quick justice, not punishment. It is restoration, giving people a chance to improve because the law was not meant to become a weapon to destroy careers. 1. 2, it's a futuristic law. It took about 16 years because law goes through Rajya Sabha, Lok Sabha. Even making one change is extremely difficult. And the last amendment that happened, I will come to that, is till last year, and I work with the government of India on this, there were talks to make this gender neutral. And then you had RG Kaur. And then you had EEMA committee. So obviously, I don't think the timing is ripe to make this gender neutral. I'm going to be blatantly honest. But the act gives employers power to make it gender neutral, which is what Coke is doing, which is what most multinational companies are doing, because prevention of harassment, sexual and otherwise, comes as part of code of ethics. Bribery नहीं कर सकते आप, harassment तो कर ही नहीं सकते, तो वो DNA में डाल दिया जाता है the minute you work for a multinational corporation. So the POSH Act, as an employer, I'm putting the accountability back to the employer, founder, agency owner, is you can roll it down gender neutrally. What it does for your people who are non-women is at least the internal committee can take up cases of sexual harassment. And it's a beautiful law because it gives you power to comply with the law. That is 35% mark. We don't study to get 35% लाएंगे हम pass हो जाएंगे. You study to do well. So the law actually is a skeleton, and you have the power as an employer to build it according to your context. So step 1 is please go and understand the law and create a policy that serves your context. Also, the law talks about 3 elements: prevention, prohibition, redressal. Redressal is the one where people focus. Oh, written complaint kyun nahi aayi? Oh, inquiry mein kya hoga? All that comes is 1/3. The prevention part is blanket power. So nothing is stopping you guys from saying informally aap complaint kariye taki hum prevention kar paye. So the eventual goal of the POSH Act is to prohibit sexual harassment at the workplace. मतलब इतना fear होना चाहिए कि लोग 1000 बार सोचें before harassing someone. And unfortunately in India, and this is what we tell all our clients, is unless there is punishment, right? And I don't mean destroying people's careers. Behaviors have to be called out. People who are continuously, it doesn't happen in a silo. It's like a child, right? If I can get away with a chota crime, then I become, I start doing bigger crimes. And the problem is waiting for data to take action. Actually, this law gives you power beyond that. There is written complaint, which is where you investigate whether sexual harassment has happened. But the internal committee has power to prevent, which means informal conversations, trainings. I mean, if someone is misogynistic, homophobic, you can intervene and say, dude, I think you need to go see a therapist. That is the extent of power that the Act has. Step 1, get a policy which serves your business context. 2 is the internal committee. I mean, I don't think anybody knows that the internal committee is a civil court that you appoint in your office. There is no country in the world. I know there are a lot of things wrong with my country, but we are the only country that allows you to have an internal committee, which is a civil court, in your office to address sexual harassment. Imagine the power. And the court doesn't report to the employer. So that's a problem. हम लोग क्या करते हैं internal committee में चाचा ताऊ, my favorite person. So may you make it like this? Oh, this is my, years on the floor. वहाँ भी जुगाड़. The idea is the internal committee gives the employer power to address sexual harassment in-house, and it's a civil court. So it reports to a higher court. Doesn't report to the employer. POSH and POXO are two laws which Right to Information Act excludes. Imagine the power. So choose your internal committee wisely. Have people, empower them. I mean, because they are doing your work for you. It's actually a brand building thing, right? If you have great culture, if you are seen as a place where people feel safe, you are going to attract talent, you will attract business, and your people won't leave you. Better than Shah Rukh Khan, your employees are your brand ambassadors, yeah? So think of the internal committee as an investment. Get sensible people in, train them, and empower them. So the power word that's been used again and again, accountability. The employer is accountable. You have immense power. You empower the internal committee to prevent, redress, so that prohibition stage is achieved. Not prohibition where, oh, hum samne daru nahi piyenge, peet piche to consumption is the highest in the country, right? So the intent has to be not compliance or tokenism, ki check box hum apna annual report bhar rahe hain. It is truly creating a safe workplace because it is good for your business. So that was, I think, call to action. One is please go back and look at your policy. Call to action number 2 is your internal committee is the greatest weapon that you can have for prevention, prohibition, redressal. Get out of this tokenism mode. Call to action number 4 is stop doing these boring employee awareness workshops. No employee on this planet cares about your POSH compliance. I want to know how should I behave or not behave? What happens if I don't behave well? And today with tech coming up, you can educate people, create awareness as a learning and development at a very, very low and affordable cost. We also have this very myopic view to say, oh, I will only create awareness among my employees. But listen, you're operating in a digital world where the entire world is now your market. So anybody you come in contact with becomes a potential risk of sexual harassment case against your company. And there goes your brand, because it takes one incident, and we've seen it with KPMG, we've seen it with EY in the recent days, one complaint. And these are people, I mean, I love the Gen Zs for this because they have more spine, Malishka. I think they have a thicker, harder, stronger spine. Also thanks to us because we've raised these savages. And I'm very proud of this new Gen Z that they will call it out. I have 2 daughters and I would be very disappointed in my own upbringing if she takes the shit I took. I mean, where are we evolving? We're going back to being monkeys if we can't call out bad behaviors. Point number 3, therefore, is employee awareness is actually people awareness. Think about your touch points. Who all are your touch points? Of course, cover it in your artist contracts, right? I mean, how do you protect your talent and your people? Also, for employers, think about whether you would recommend your industry or your own company as a place to work for a loved one. That is your acid test when you do POSH compliance. Will you recommend your loved one, your daughter, son, child to join your industry or join your company and then work around POSH compliance, because POSH is about safety. So the intent of the law, and there are many, many case laws, all of those case laws, the judges have had one common thing to say, please understand the intent of the law. The intent of the law was to empower employers to create safe workplaces because the courts don't have time. We don't have bandwidth given our population. So use that power and use it well. I think the last very, very important point, call to action, as Sushma, I hope someone's making note, is, if I give you an example, how doctors are very well respected, right? We all have favorite doctors. They have wonderful bedside manners. You like doctors who are accessible, who talk nicely to you, who treat you like a human being and not an illness. But doctors are notorious for misbehaving with medical representatives. It's a sector problem, which is what? I will be nice to my customer because customer pays, like Malishka mentioned, but I will pick out that khundak on the lowest hanging fruit, which are medical representatives. At a sector level, you need to pick up safety as an agenda. And that rolls into Vikshit Bharat. To say, you know what, forget the white noise, forget the past. Going forward, can you create a safe forum where people feel that you will not breach their trust and talk about the complaints that come to you? Because that is the number one reason people don't speak up. That's the number one reason people go on social media. The good news is that women, men, people are not ashamed when they are harassed sexually. There was a lot of shame 25 years ago. Today, it's about why should I be ashamed? The person doing this needs to be called out. Massive change. It's a massive change. But I'm saying at a sector level, can you create a safe space for people to come and talk to you about what are these issues that are plaguing the industry? Why are people not willing to join the industry? Why is there so much this undercurrent belly? Like when we talk about a Me Too movement, everyone says, oh, the starting point will be, Bollywood and film industry and event and entertainment. There is some merit to that bias or that generalization. So at a sector level, what can you do? Ask for posh compliance from your members, make it a criteria, hand out awards for good practices, create a safe space for people to come and even anonymously complain. Because in India, I mean, I've noticed this across sectors, is it becomes gossip. You know, if someone is harassed or someone, you immediately go and try and butter up the person harassing and wo leak ho jata hai. What that does is it creates this ripple effect of people not wanting to come forward. And I keep telling people that unless people feel safe, they should not come forward. Because, I mean, you come forward and you're like, Abel, mujhe maar. So, I mean, if you have zero complaints in your organization, you're sitting on a nuclear bomb. Because that means your people are too scared to come and tell you what is wrong. In a family of 4, if you tell me that people don't have issues with each other, I'll say rubbish. A husband, wife have problems. The idea is I will talk to you if I feel like at least you hear me out. Right? So I think I've covered most of this call to action. I think very important for you to take a sector stand on safety and truly look at people as talent, because without that, you're not going to become Vikshit sector to Vikshit Bharat. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much for those insightful points. I'm sure Sushma will have much to share. I will quickly have a quick wrap of points, Sushma, and then I will hand it over to you.
Hardik, I have one more solution, if you can,
Sure,
because
please.
I've been making notes. So I have a solution, like we've been, literally, I'll take 20 seconds, okay? Because this has mainly been about the panel. But I think also we've got to also in some way or the other, look at how we as an industry start positioning everybody. Like I see a lot of panels, and this is where I'm going to get Ankur on in a little while. You know, we as EEMA, we ourselves should ensure that whenever we're doing any outward facing, hi Ankur, outward facing panels, we will make sure that we have about 30 to 40 to 50% of those panels that are women leaders, that we also need to ensure that those that are not seen are there on the panel. Yeah, those are not served. So this is one solution I really wanted to talk about. Another solution I wanted to talk about is while we're doing all this, I think it's also mental wellness is very, very important. So what we need to do is maybe have conversation of what we can do to implement or provide mental wellness to all our agencies, to our employees, to make it accessible to everyone. I think that is another important aspect. My point of training, I think it is also another important solution. The नींव जो बोलते हैं ये सब चीजों के का होता है वो bias होता है. That is unconscious bias. I think we do training, active training, have active training available for our members so that we can at least start on the journey to effect culture shift. I think that is an important part that I think we require to instrument. And I'm going to speak also, you know, a lot of this conversation has been also about women. Let it not go we have also noticed that it is also the fact that there have been many men who have who undergo a lot of trauma, whether it is mental or sexual harassment. So this conversation is definitely not based on the female gender. It is also about the male and the third gender. There's a lot of trauma that they go through. Yeah. So I just want to table that, Hardik. Over to you, Hardik.
Thank you to all the panelists. Wow. It's been such a privilege to hear all these viewpoints. I'll quickly take the effort and probably an attempt to encapsulate maybe the viewpoints some of that I've shared. Accountability being one of the top key points. Coming and speaking up about them, defining your boundaries being the other, being sensitive about your own actions, sensitizing yourself being very, very important. As Gitika mentioned, that do not turn a blind eye to the problem, respecting others being a very, very important aspect, whichever role hierarchy you are in, respect goes irrespective. Um, let not POSH be relegated only to HR, and prevention, prohibition, redressal being a very, very important point that we all need to commit to and understand. And providing mental healthness workshops and trainings. And a wonderful question, Priyanka asked that, will you allow your sister, a cousin, a family member to be a part of this industry? And only then we'll start reorienting our actions and be accountable for it. With that being said, thank you to all the panelists once again for your incredible inputs. Malishka, Anjali, Priyanka, Sushma for doing this, and Gitika, of course, and certainly Puneet for making this conversation happen.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, guys.
Thank you. And
Thank you so much.
before we close, a big thank you to everyone for making the time. We will come up with all our solutions. Before I hand it over to Nitish, I want to ask Ankur to join us, the panel. Thank you, Ankur, for your support. Thank you, NEC, for your support. Ankur, if you could please join us. The reason I wanted Ankur to join is because he is really going to be, he and the NEC, the entire team is going to be instrumental in making sure that this document becomes something that we create that is actionable. Yeah. So that is a commitment that we really want to take on board. So can we please have Ankur, a quick conversation with you? Just a very quick one. I'm going to put it, this is like in the spotlight. I request the panelists to wait for like a few moments. It's going to take a maximum 2 moments, okay? Because I'm going to put our money where our mouth is. So Ankur, on behalf of the NEC, see, like our whole conversation has been beyond tokenism. So I just wanted your input on how do you see this entire conversation going forward? What is your plan as General Secretary and on behalf of the NEC to take it forward? I know I'm going to put him completely in the spot here.
Thank you, Sushma. You've been putting me on the spot for many years. But thank you. So first of all, I wanted to thank you for bringing out this wonderful conversation. I'd like to thank Gitika, Anjali, Priyanka, Malishka, Hardik, and Puneet, who had to leave. I think it was a very, very exciting conversation, and I think I learned a lot personally today. And I think it's the beginning of many more such conversations. If we start, and we need to move beyond tokenism, like you rightly said. This is not about Nari Shakti, and like many of your other panelists said, this is about creating a culture, about attracting the right talent, about doing the right thing, and about taking our industry forward. So some of the points that I took away from the conversation, like Gitika said, to speak up, each one of us has to speak up, and especially the Gen Z, which some of your panelists mentioned, really have the spine and have the audacity to do that. And I'm so glad, I'm so proud that we've brought up our next generation in such a way that they can do what we were not able to. I learned so much about POSH from Priyanka, and I'd love to, with your help, do a session for EEMA, specific session on POSH. One's perception of POSH was very different. One's perception was just that it's a committee which is meant to punish. But today I learned, the scope of POSH is far beyond that. Punishment is just maybe a third or a fourth part of it. The biggest thing is about making people responsible, about awareness, about empowerment, etc., etc. So that was an eye opener for me. So there were so many views, and there are so many notes that I've taken, and I'd discuss them with you. And what I'd love to do is come up with a policy, maybe before the 31st of March, with your help, and circulate it amongst all EEMA members, and have a kind of a pledge where we all, create these 10 to 15 practices that all EEMA members are bound to, or not are bound to, are obligated to, and would like to enforce in their organization, so that their culture improves, they're able to attract the right talent, they're able to retain the right talent, and they're able to do the right thing, which grows their business. So it's not just about It's not just about, like you said, Nari Shakti, or it's not about punishment. It's about looking out for our own so that we can grow our business. And I think that understanding is really important amongst all the EEMA members. We've got about 800 odd EEMA members and growing. And, we represent more than 75% of the organized event industry in India. And I believe that if this 75% makes this pledge and displays this on their, not just tokenism, not just displaying it on their reception or on their social media, they believe in it, they empower their people and they make those changes, our industry would become a far better place to work in. We'd be able to collectively attract the right talent, do the right things, and grow together. So with your help, I'd love to do that over the next 1 month, create this set of 10, 15 things that we'd request all EEMA members to sign on. Maybe we'd put it as part of the joining kit of EEMA, where each person would, just like they have to provide various other financial documents and agree to various other terms and conditions, this is another thing that they would need to pledge in order to become an EEMA member. So it would become a gold standard of the industry. And I think these kind of conversations, Sushma, I'd request you to do them not once a year, but once a quarter or once a month or once in 2 months. And that's how change will happen. So kudos to you for bringing about this conversation, and thanks to all your panelists who've said such wonderful things. I personally learned a lot today, and I know that when I go back to office on Monday, I will have a meeting with my HR and with many of my colleagues and try and pass on some of the knowledge that I've got and bring a positive change in my organization. So thank you.
Thank you, Ankur. Thanks a lot for your support, and thank you to the entire team. Before I close, I'd request all the panelists to come on. I just want to share a very quick point of view. Ankur, while you're saying we're going to roll it out, we've started an entire series all of last year. It was called We Inspire. And we used to go to every location. We've done it in the South, we've done it in the North, and we have these closed door, wonderful communities. Yeah. So if any of you who are watching want to join those communities, please message us and we'll be more than happy to include you. That's where the conversations happen. Another thing is we will be announcing the helpline number soon. We will make sure, Ankur, we need your support on that as well to ensure that we start propagating and getting the message out, because all these wonderful initiatives have been set up, even by my predecessor, which have not been, who is Poonam, which have really not gathered enough momentum and steam. So let her work not go futile. Yeah. So it's very, very important that we all carry this, be the flag bearers. Another important part I really want to talk about, and I want to close by saying a big thank you to the EEMA secretary. Please don't leave. We've still got a very, very big part of today that's balanced. But EEMA secretariat, you're the wings, the wind beneath our wings. And you made all this possible. You work relentlessly. Thank you so much. Right. I'm not going to mention all of you, yet you all know Preeti, especially the ones working on this, Preeti, Rimi, Ankita, and Khyati. Thank you so much. You girls, all of you have been right in front of us, like walking ahead, all the women. Thank you so much to our Dreamcast team. Jayant, thank you so much to you and Afaq for making this happen. Most important is also a big, big thank you to Nitish. You really held it all together, and I'm going to give it back to you because you're going to take it forward. Thank you, Hardik, for doing this and for being so involved and being very intelligent about it and being very collected and putting all the effort. Thank you, Priyanka, our knowledge partner. She's always given me all the input that we require as WeCare team. WeCare team will be completely incomplete without Priyanka on our team. So she has been our guiding force to enable us to know compliance and enable us to know the laws. Malishka, thank you, darling, for agreeing, for coming. It just took one call and she was like, I'm on. And yes, the plugins have worked. Don't worry, it's going to work massively. So it's
profile
good.
shots, guys.
Anjali, thank
They're
you
not so
very
subtle
much.
plugins.
Not so subtle.
Thank you, Anjali.
Exactly the same on stage.
You've taken the time. Corporate, first
Thank
question
you.
was, what is Coca-Cola going to do? But your inputs were very, very valuable.
Yes.
And last and not the
Thank you for
least,
inviting.
our representative of a bigger community, a big community, which is the artist community, which is a very, very important community for us. So thank you, Gitika, for representing the community and the industry as a whole. And with that, I say a big thank you, everyone. I'm going to hand everyone over. I hope I've not missed anyone. If I have, forgive me. And I'm going to hand over the entire proceedings to Nitish. Nitish, thank you. You have been a rock star, yeah? Over to you, Nitish. Thank you.
Thank you, Sushma. Thank you for making my life so easier. You have thanked everybody. And I think I just second what Sushma said. Thank you, all the panelists. Thank you, our moderator. Thank you, everyone, once again. Our knowledge partner, Inclusional, and our tech partner, Dreamcast. But without, we have one last little sweet, noble thing which we would like to do. And we would request all of you to just be a part of it. Last 2 minutes to go for sure. And I promise you on that. I would request Gitika ma'am to please take it over. Over to you. What is the noble cause that we are going to do right now?
Thank you. Can I have the first slide, please? Jayant Nafak. Yeah, thank you. So for all of you who have heard about this for the very first time, and all of you on this panel too, I do want you to give us your ears and eyes. So this is a scholarship that EEMA is going to be presenting forth today. We announced it on the 27th of February, and we're going to now announce the candidate that has been selected to receive this scholarship. It's called the EEMA Shivani Sen Memorial Scholarship, and it's curtains up on their dreams. It is, of course, in the loving memory of Shivani, who was a celebrated MC of our fraternity, but more than that, it is a celebration of the values that she stood for as a female artist. Now, this was instituted in 2023 in the memory of Shivani, and she was a fearless voice for change and a passionate mentor of many artists down south. This scholarship was first awarded in 2023 by the EEMA Artist Committee and was presented on stage by Ankur Kalra, who was then Treasurer EEMA and now is General Secretary EEMA. Can I have the next slide, please? Now, what's very special here is that we are offering this scholarship to an aspiring female artist who's passionate about her craft, of course, but is also hoping to transform society for better through artistic endeavor. And that really is the more important part of how we decided to accord this scholarship to the candidate. We'll waive off one-time joining fee and one-year membership fee for the chosen candidate. I'm going to request General Secretary EEMA, Ankur Kalra, who's with me on the grid, to tell us all who the candidate chosen for this year's Shivani Sen Memorial Scholarship is. Ankur, please.
Thank you, Gitika. Before I divulge the name, I'm so glad that we've done this last year. It was given to somebody called Nida, I think, which we did together. And
Nida Shamshi.
Nida Shamshi, that's right. And Shivani was a fearless person, like you said, and I'm so glad we are doing this on 8th March, which is Women's Day. She stood for all the qualities that we celebrate on Women's Day, and she stood for empowerment, she stood for being fearless, for speaking out, for being gutsy. And I'm so glad that we are continuing this tradition, and I request you next year to increase the scope of this and get one artist from each region, and I will get it okayed by the NEC. So on this platform, I'd like to announce that next year when we give this scholarship, I'd like you to please open it out to one person per region, which is North, South, West, and East, so that we are able to promote more talent and get more fearless women on the front.
Ankur, my heart wants Sushma Prabhu Gaikwad, the chair of EEMA WeCare, on this grid too, as you announce the name of this chosen candidate. Sushma, yes. Can you please join us on the grid?
Thank you, sir. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much for the honor.
And now, Ankur, I request you to please announce the name of the candidate.
So we had announced this contest about 10 days ago. There were several candidates who had come forward and given their names and given all their details. The artist committee, along with the NEC, studied all the names and spent substantial amount of time. Raina has been chosen for the Shivani Sen Scholarship this year, and she would be given a one-time joining fee waiver as long as a 1-year free membership of EEMA. And we know that she is somebody who stands by the values of Shivani Sen, and I'm sure she will make us proud and make the fraternity proud. And we all have great hopes from her. And over to you, Gitika. I'm sure you'll be able to shed much more light on this.
So Diksha Raina is a professional MC based in Delhi NCR region, and she is going to be the recipient of this scholarship for this financial annual year. I have a video that I asked Diksha to record. She was supposed to be here with us, but then she's gotten an event. She's as of now performing on stage, but she has these sentiments to express. Can we please play the video?
Hello everyone, my name is Diksha Raina and it is my absolute pleasure to be receiving the Honorable Shivani Sen Memorial Scholarship. While this announcement is being made, I would probably be on the stage hosting the show, and that is the reason I could not be available and present here. But I would like to take this opportunity to thank the entire organizing committee of EEMA as well as the EEMA Artist Committee for bringing in this noble initiative and taking into consideration my candidature. Thank you so much.
And that is Diksha for you, everybody watching, everybody on the panel. And my heart says that this is a young lady who, of course, we will groom and nurture, but this is a young lady who has the potential of being a fearless, integral, and very committed female artist who will be an asset to the Indian live industry and will also alongside help transform and make our ecosystem better in more ways than one. Congratulations, Diksha. And thank you, Sushma, for allowing us to announce this on your WeCare event on the 8th of March. And thank you, Ankur Kalra and the entire NEC for this endeavor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Gitika. And of course, for the beautiful memories that we have with Shivani Sen. Thank you. That is a beautiful cause. And Ms. Rana is definitely worth, because she has a lot of potential, and I have seen her perform as well many a times. So she is very, very deserving. So with that being said, thank you once again to all our panelists. Thank you, Priyanka. Thank you, Anjali. Thank you, Malishka, who we also be known as the actor who plays the role of Sarojini Naidu. Best of luck for that. Thank you, Gitika. Thank you, Ankur. Thank you, Sushma ma'am. Thank you so much for the wonderful opportunity. And of course, we are EEMA, we care. We never say goodbye. We say this is just the beginning for doing the right thing with all the integrity. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Stay
Thank
safe.
you.
Bye-bye.